I'm Lisa Rumsfeld. I'm the Global Marketing Director of GrowSafe, and I have been invited to talk to you today about why efficiency matters and technology to measure feed efficiency by the team at Vitafort. So before I start, I'd like to welcome all of the Vitafort partners, and I look forward to going through these slides with you today. GrowSafe is a Canadian company, and we've been offering livestock producers a platform of monitoring solutions for the past 30 years. The areas that we impact are the sustainability, the efficiency, and the profitability of the beef supply chain. We are partnering across the supply chain with breeders, breed associations, feedlots, nutrition companies like Vitafort, and academia. GrowSafe curates the largest multi-breed efficiency database, and we do that with our partners who are 160 strong across 14 countries. And I'm going to come back later in the presentation and talk to you a little bit more about that multi-breed efficiency database and how it's important and how it can be impactful for your operations. Before I do that, I would like to just run through my agenda. I'm going to speak briefly about some industry trends that we see happening globally. I'll talk to you about the GrowSafe Beef Genetics Program and our technology. I'll review various measures of feed efficiency. We'll talk practically how to run feed efficiency trials using GrowSafe technology, and then we'll come back to that global multi-breed efficiency database that I mentioned earlier. So if we look at what's happening in the livestock industry today, there's many challenges that we are faced, no matter which country you're in. As farmers and producers, we're dealing with how can we maintain our farm profitability, how to manage our labor and our assets, and how do we finance and insure our businesses. We are more and more faced with questions from consumers, and consumers are interested in animal welfare, traceability, and transparency. We're faced with competition not only from other animal protein sources, but from alternative non-beef protein sources. The environment and climate change are certainly something that we're faced with and challenged with on a day-to-day basis. How we can reduce our environmental footprint through the reduction of greenhouse gases, how we're managing our soils, and how can our businesses remain resilient in the face of all of these challenges. At GrowSafe, we believe that one of the ways that we can address all of these challenges is to focus on efficiency. And when GrowSafe talks about efficiency, one of the areas we look at is feed efficiency. What this chart shows you is a snapshot of beef and chicken 100 years ago in terms of feed conversion ratio and where we are today. And as you can see in this chart, the poultry industry has made tremendous improvements in terms of their feed conversion ratio. And at beef, we're still at about 6.8 pounds on our feed conversion ratios as compared to chicken. As I mentioned, that's made tremendous improvements to 1.7. The interesting thing is that we know that we can make an impact. If we look at all production costs, we know that feed accounts for about 70% of those production costs. If we focus our efforts on improving average daily gain, we can improve our profits on our operations by 18%. However, if we select for feed efficiency and focus our efforts there, by making a 10% improvement in feed efficiency, this leads to a 43% improvement in our profits. This is really important for us to know that by implementing technology and by measuring feed efficiency, we actually can make an impact. And those impacts are very wide and address some of those challenges that we talked about. By measuring and selecting for feed efficiency, we can reduce our carbon footprint, minimize our environmental impact, and maintain our competitiveness to other protein sources and remain profitable for generations to come. I like this chart because it's very visual. It clearly shows you why we want to measure for feed efficiency. On the left side, this is what our eye sees. And on the right side, this is what GrowSafe sees. by actually measuring feed intake. We can identify those select animals in our breeding herd that are more feed efficient, and we can use them in our breeding program. I took some data from the GrowSafe database, and what you see here is a record of about 50,000 animals. And what we're seeing here is the feed conversion ratio of those animals. The average is about 7.3. The good news is that if we look at the feed conversion ratios, we have about 2% that are at 4, and there's another 11% that are at 5. And so if we're not measuring, we wouldn't be able to identify those animals that have that are more efficient. If we improve our feed conversion ratio only by 10%, across a feeding period, for every 600 pounds of gain, that's $65 that we can make in terms of savings. So what this chart really shows you is that change is possible. At GrowSafe, we work with our clients on comprehensive programs to measure for feed efficiency. Our beef genetics program features hardware, software. There is remote system support, a comprehensive hardware warranty, and off the back end of running feed efficiency trials, we provide analytics and reporting. And we send our team out to the farm and we do the installation and manage all the logistics. So what we really try to do at GrowSafe is to make embracing efficiency easy. Our beef genetics program allows you to measure and genetically select for the most efficient animals. And part of the services that we do after we measure those animals is we provide insight through our analytics. And that insight is basically identifying those animals that are efficient so that you can use those animals in your breeding herd. Important to know is that all of the trials that are run at GrowSafe are done in a standardized way, and our technical support team will monitor the systems on a daily basis so that we ensure that trials are being run according to GrowSafe protocols in a standardized way. And that standardization is critical when you are using the data to make decisions, as well as trying to benchmark and compare trials that are run in Hungary, for example, to trials that are run in other countries. And as I mentioned, off the back end of running those trials, we provide analytics reports to all of our partners. This slide shows you the hardware that's included in our beef genetics program. On the left-hand side, you see our feed intake technology. This is our technology that measures the individual animal feed intake. And on the right-hand side of this chart, you see our GrowSafe beef technology, and this is our in-pen weighing technology. And so when you run feed efficiency trials, it's important to measure feed intake in parallel with growth to be able to calculate feed efficiency traits. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you each of those two technologies in a little bit more detail. So again, here you see our feed intake technology, and the way that works is that the animals are tagged with an RFID tag. When their head comes through these head gates here, there is a RFID antenna that's molded here into the trough. So as the animal comes in, we identify that animal. Underneath the trough are load bars, and the load bars measure how much feed is in each of these troughs. So when the animal comes in, we know exactly how many kilos of feed are in there. And when the animal goes out after it's eaten, we know how much feed is in there. And so we assign the feed disappearance to that individual animal. We measure to a 3-gram resolution and we report to a 10-gram resolution. Again, important to note that each of the trials is run on a standardized way, and they're all being audited. We incorporate behavior and diet and environment into our analysis. This is our GrowSafe beef technology. It's our in-pen continuous weighing technology. The way this works is that we install it here around the water trough, which you can see. There's load bars underneath each of these positions. Here is our data acquisition panel. This is where all the data that we collect is captured and sent back to the farm office. Here you can see as the animal comes in to drink, he's standing here on this partial scale. And so for each second that the animal stands there and drink, we are taking a partial body weight of that animal. There is an onboard marking system that's embedded here in the hardware. So if you need to flag an animal because of weight changes or watering behavior changes, which is flagged in the software, you can actually trigger a in-pen marking spray so that that animal can be visually identified in the pen. What I'd like to share with you here is some samples of data, because people always ask, well, how can you be accurate when you're taking partial body weights versus running animals through chutes? And in fact, because we're taking continuous weights, we are far more accurate and far more precise than taking specific chute weights. So what we have plotted here, this is the end of the green bars show you the individual animal feed intake, which we're measuring. And the blue line here is actually a regression of those individual partial body weights that we're taking with the GrowSafe beef. And we're plotting it against chute weights here, which you see in the form of the X's. On the right-hand side, this is actually the raw data. So this is every second that the animal is standing on the GrowSafe beef. And you can see here that the trend line is as it should be, going up as the days progress. This gives you an idea of how the platform works. And so here we have a representation of our GrowSafe beef, our feed intake technology. We're measuring growth again through the GrowSafe beef. We're measuring feed intake through the feed intake technology. Both pieces of hardware are sampling every second, and we're gathering millions of data points on an individual animal on a single day. We compress the data and we send it through the data acquisition panel that sits in the pens, and we send that data line of sight using RF technology to a computer that's installed at the farm office. And it's here at the farm office computer that we connect daily to the GrowSafe servers via the internet, and we process and compress the data on a daily basis. We bring that back to the dashboard that sits resident on the farm computer, and our customers can go into the farm computer and they can look at individual animal trends, they can look at pen trends, and that's where the reporting happens. So when you run feed efficiency trials, there's a few things that are really important. As I talked about, protocols and standardization. We need to be able to accurately calculate average daily gain and feed intake for the animals. We have certain trial periods to run feed efficiency trials. If you are using the GrowSafe beef in-pen weighing technology, a feed efficiency trial will last 49 days. If you choose not to have the GrowSafe beef and are just measuring feed intake and providing chute weights, you need a longer trial, which is 70 days. GrowSafe analytics team and our technical service group, they work with you to build appropriate trial groups. We always like to see animals that are of similar breed and size and same sex and same age. And then there's a certain amount of data that clients need to provide back to GrowSafe when they run trials, such as visual tags, date of birth, breed, 3 generations of pedigree, and dry matter content and weights. Coming back to the GrowSafe beef, as I mentioned, when you are working with the continuous weighing technology, the trial length is 49 days. We're getting a much more accurate weight. During the course of a feed efficiency trial, you have a lot less stress to the animals and labor, because you don't need to take as many chute weights because you're using GrowSafe beef. And we get that additional information on those animals about their watering behavior. And you are able to look into the software on a daily basis to see how animals are growing. And because you are running shorter trials, you're able to actually test more animals through the system on an annual basis, which reduces the overall cost per animal to run feed efficiency trials. So there's a lot of value in using the GrowSafe beef. So if we think about what are the common measures of feed efficiency, there's a few common ones that people talk about in the industry. The first one is residual feed intake, which is the difference between an animal's actual intake and its expected intake for a given body size and level of production. Residual average daily gain is another common feed efficiency measurement, and that's the difference between an animal's actual weight gain and its predicted gain based on its dry matter intake, body weight, maintenance, and fat cover. And finally, we have feed conversion ratio, which is an efficiency measure of feed intake to body weight gain. GrowSafe, we talk a lot about residual feed intake, and we just had a view about what that means. I think the interesting thing about residual feed intake is that it is independent of body weight and size, and it's a trait that can't be detected by looking at it, and it's moderately heritable. And what that means for us is that when we measure and select for feed efficiency, we can use that in a balanced breeding program without impacting other traits. Important to note is that when we look at residual feed intake, a low number is efficient versus a high number, which is inefficient. So if we jump into a little bit more about residual feed intake, we can compare two animals and have a practical example of what that means. So this data comes off of a trial, one of our partners in Brazil. And so when we do feed efficiency trials, we build our groups so that the animals have a similar weight, which these two animals do. And we expect those animals' average daily gain to be very similar across a feed efficiency trial. And we expect that their weights will be, their expected intake will be very similar here, we see. And then we run the trial, and this specific trial was ran for 74 days. And that's really where the similarity stops with these two animals in terms of weight, average daily gain, and expected feed intake. During the RFI trial, we measured the actual feed intake, and you can see here that there is quite a bit of a difference in those two animals in terms of their intake. The animal on the left, we expected it to eat 21, and it actually ate 24. The animal on the right, we expected it to eat 20.5 per day, and it ate 17.5 per day. So that's a really large difference, and that's a difference of 2.8 kilos a day for the same level of production. And that's the goal when we're running feed efficiency trials, is to identify those animals that eat less for the same level of production. And as I mentioned previously, this is an independent trait, residual feed intake, and it's a moderately heritable trait. And so what that means is we can identify those animals that are efficient, so those animals with a low RFI, that are also high gainers. This is why RFI is really GrowSafe's measure of choice. Again, just to review those points, independent of body weight, size, and growth, it's moderately heritable. It doesn't affect mature cow size. When we reduce feed intake, we reduce methane emissions and therefore increase our sustainability efforts. The selections benefit the cow-calf herd and the feedlot industry. So we like to say that it's a whole systems approach to feed efficiency across the beef supply chain, and it does not have adverse effects on other economically viable traits. Part of the program that GrowSafe does is we run all of our trials in a standardized way, and that means we also calculate the RFI EPDs in a standardized way, and that allows us to compare EPDs across trials, across breeds on a global scale. And that's really one of the true values of the GrowSafe program and our efficiency analytics reports. We see here are examples of GrowSafe efficiency analytics reports. So at the end of the trial, our analytics team will provide a comprehensive suite of reports to our partners. You will receive the individual data on the contemporary group, as well as EPD calculations, provided that. This brings me back to that multi-breed efficiency database that I mentioned. At the moment, we're almost at 250,000 efficiency EPDs. So that's a really powerful tool that we offer our clients, that they're able to tap into that database to compare the animals on their operation and what they're doing in their breeding herd on a worldwide scale. Recently, with our partners, we have launched and released the GrowSafe Top Proven Bull List. And what this list is in concert with our partners, we have put this on our website, and we've allowed public access, and it lists all the bulls that are in this multi-breed database that have a 0.60 and accuracy and higher. And so I encourage you to go out and onto the GrowSafe website and check out that public list. And again, our partners who are working with us and contributing pedigree to this multi-breed database have access to the entire database for their use. So this is just a sneak peek for the public. And what we've done by releasing the top proven bulls is we've really created a lot of excitement and interest around efficiency, so that our partners can market and sell their genetics with premiums because of the efficiency around them. So just to close out here on our beef genetics program, to show you what that looks like in a pen on your farm. This is a introductory system. So there's 8 feed intake nodes and 4 GrowSafe beef positions. Again, you can run feed efficiency trials without the GrowSafe beef in pen weighing technology and use chute weights. And that's what you see on this side. A system like this can test 64 bulls in a trial. We say that each one of these feed intake nodes can feed 8 bulls, and each one of these GrowSafe beef positions can water up to 50 head. So you can water up to 100 head, so there's ample watering capacity here when you pair it with 4 feed intake nodes. The nice part about the GrowSafe system is that it's modular, so that you can start with a baseline system, and then you can always expand out across your pens. As I mentioned, we're a global company. We've got over 160 installations working across a variety of environments, working with over 23 breeds. This just gives you a short snapshot of some of the countries that GrowSafe is currently working in, and we believe that this broad customer base, a number of years, really matters when you're looking for partners. So at that point, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and that concludes my my presentation. Please go out onto our website, and if you're interested in more information, my contacts are here below as well. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And once again, I'd like to thank Vita Ford for inviting me to share this time with you. Thank you.